Most crucial part when you're learning anything at all, good warm up. So we'll start warming you up. First thing, we're going to go joint rolling. You'll probably look at it and go, this is ridiculous and it's silly and it doesn't place any benefits, but you were asking about things yesterday. This will be one thing that'll help get you going a little bit quicker and easier. So just start with the wrist, just nice and smooth. Go about 10 rolls in one direction, and then we go the other way. So what this does is this lubricates the joints. It helps create synovial fluid into your joints. You might think it's silly and it feels silly, but it's worthwhile, especially if you have older clients. Really worthwhile. All right, then same thing, you can just flex and extend, move them in all their directions. I know, we all feel silly together. All right, so hands up. All we're gonna do now is just bend at the elbows, so hands to your head and out. Again, about 10 of these. The wonderful part is we're all doing it, we all feel silly. We all look silly. Now, turn your thumbs to the roof, same thing. This changes the angle of the elbow, that's why we turn our hands. Do you feel like one of those clowns that you have to go and put balls in at the show? Now, palms to the floor, and then same thing. Real weird bicep pose now. Yep. Very simple, but very easy. All right, arms by your sides, nice and smooth. Raise them above your head and down. This should, when you're not having things explained to you, take no more than 2 minutes, right? So 2 minutes of joint rolling prior to doing anything to warming up will make a huge difference to the actual workout itself. People underestimate it, but it's really, really important, and it makes the world of difference for your clients. Now, hands out in front, it's as simple as open and shut, but it's all smooth, so you're not trying to snap the arms back. It's nice and smooth. All right, now arms up level. We're going to just rotate, just side to side, nice and easy. So we're gradually working our way down to our feet. Now what we're going to do, when we go, say, to the right, we pivot on the left foot. When we go to the left, we pivot on the right foot. Now this throws in the hips as well as the spine. That's it, just turn on, there you go, opposing foot. All right, now feet together, feet stay flat the whole time of this. All we're doing is simply bending our knees and then extending. So just bend and extend. So it's not a full squat, you just simply bend and extend. All right, and then your ankles, just simple turn. Again, about 10 or so. You're right, you can come around, guys, it's fine. You turn them in and out. And flex both ways, and then do the same on the other foot. Essentially just moving your feet in all sorts of different directions. All right, that is joint mobility. Like I said, when you're not explaining things, it takes literally 2 minutes to do, and that's all it should do. But it's a huge crucial bit leading up into this. So now we've done a lot of different warm-ups before that we'll go through, and I'll do a handful again to get you going. So, our hand walkouts. Come down, walk out to a straight line, and then walk back in. Stand up tall, and go with 8 of those. All right, so next one, going to come into a reverse lunge, hands down, open up, back down, and then stand up. Come down, open, and then up. All right, now it's nice and simple, just flat-footed squats, a nice wide stance with it. Just control your descent down, just to parallel, and then back up. Make sure those knees go towards the little toes, just nice and simple. If you find warming up doesn't take too much, couple more. All right, now back into the hand walkouts. We're going to walk out, add a push up, walk back in. So walk out, push up, walk back in. All right, couple more. We're going to lay flat with our arms out, and we're going to bring one foot over to our opposite hand. They're called scorpions. They're here. I'm trying not to hit the camera into the ground, so ideally keep your head all in contact with the ground. I've got the microphone in the way. All right. And then one last one. They call these ones dive bombers or judo push-ups, Hindu push-ups, lots of different names. So your wide stance, hands in front of the shoulders. We scoop low to the ground. You can just finish at this point and come back or go up and around. So there you find warm-ups take probably about 10 minutes all up. And that's enough to get you going for any of your training sessions that you got coming along. Okay, breaking your swing down. So you get this right, everything is simple from here. You got to know how to hinge at the hips. If you can't hinge at the hips, you got problems. Right, you'll really struggle with it. So what I mean with hinging at the hips, as the hips go back, you get that lengthening through the hamstrings. You're not tipping over at the chest, right? So yeah, chest out, shoulders back, and you drive through the hips. That's it, we push back. Yeah, good. So your feet are just over shoulder width apart. Shins stay vertical. And hips go back. You think like you're trying to touch the wall. So here, good drill for a lot of people when they can't get it, is to start off close to the wall, hinge to your bum touches, and then come back up. Move a bit further away. Keep going along until you get yourself a good hinge at the hips. So where that ties in, all we're going to do, feet on either side of the bell. The bell will be level with our heels, right? So we're going to hinge, touch the handle, and then come back up. So we hinge to touch the handle and come up. What that's teaching you to do is keep that back flat as you hinge. So we're just going to push the hips back so it's smooth and controlled. It's not about how fast you go. You've got to control that descent. So hips back and touch. So again, hips back and touch. Back is nice and flat. Head's facing down to the ground, because when I stand, it's looking forward. So you don't come down with your head up, because that's no longer a neutral spine. Your neck's attached to your spine naturally. And when your head's up, it puts a lot of compressive load up in there. So now, when you're comfortable doing that, you come down, grab hold, drive up tall. Hips go back, places back at your heels. You come up, and then back down again. Go through and do about half a dozen to a dozen. Really concentrating on lifting and lowering. It's now to actually show you how to kick off the bell correctly. Because a lot of people do this, they'll come along, pick it up, and then start swinging. Don't ever want to see that. Bad for your back. So where bells get a bad rap, number one, incorrect start. Has everyone ever seen gridiron before? Where they all line up, they've got the ball and they throw it through to the receiver out the back? No? So, yep, cool, all right. That's essentially what we're going to try and do here. So if I turn that side on, you start again with the bell at your heels. You take one step back, hinge, and see how now that's got me in that hike position. I'm about to throw the ball essentially through my legs to the receiver at the back. What you do, you pull it onto its edge, and what we're going to aim to do is, staying in this position, is hike it up, our wrist high in our groin. So we receive the bell, and then we place it back down. So So you're here. This is all I want to see you do for the moment. Stay in that hinge position, nice flat back, hike, and back down. When you finish, stand up tall, finish the hip hinge out. What you got to think of when you hike the bell is to drive with the hips, to propel the bell up. Your arms do nothing except for hang on to the bell. You don't lift with the arms, it's propelled up from the hips. Have you seen the movie Legally Blonde? Bend and snap. So I want you to think bend, so bend at the hips, snap, snap at the hips, and then your last cue, tall. You want that tall standing plank so your hips are directly under your shoulders. So you go bend, snap, tall. They're the three words you think of. So what we're going to do is like this. So we set up on its edge, hike, place it back down. Set up, hike. Right, I'll show you what it's like when you start raising with the arms. You come here. You see it's very stiff as opposed to, even if I use my hips to really drive it up, so the arms are relaxed, as opposed to where it leaves the body and I'm lifting. What you probably notice when I start lifting too is the flat of the bell starts facing towards the ground instead of pointing out as an extension of my hands. So set up, take your step back, hinge at your hips, hike, drive tall, place back down, go again. What we call start-stop swings. I'm going to show you a little thing with the overextension part here that you can do to stop it. Okay, so just pop it down and I want you just to swing as you have been. Okay. Right, all I'm going to do essentially is, she's tall here and this is it. So you just put your hand at that point. So Annabelle's going to hinge down and do everything the same. Yep. And she'll meet my hand at the end and that will be that message point of no longer do I need to keep trying to push my hips back. Just think straight and tall as you can make yourself at the end of this. Hike, tall, righto. Just get that bit more extension because you've got a bit soft in the knees right at the top. Just as straight and tall as you can. Up, 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 better. Taller again.
Okay, tall.
Yep, super tall. Get the legs basically lock right out. Up. There we go. There we go. See, simple cues. We focused on one thing. You don't have to stand there in the front anymore. That's all right if you don't want to. That's all I need you to do is make yourself a super tall. Right? You keep bringing the cues to something simple. The one major thing she needed to do was to get tall. So instead of going, you got to do this and this and this and this, it's just go get tall, find something else to go, okay, then lock the legs out, do something. Like, find a simple cue to help people get through with it. Don't overcomplicate it. So, we come along, hike. See us stop at that 45 at the bottom of the swing. So when you've done your 5, you place it down. But then again, always finish off with that hinge. See how I've had to hinge here to put it down? Always finish off. Don't come here and then walk off, because these little repetitive actions are what injure people. Everything is exactly the same, except we only use one hand. I said it before, but this is where it's even more so crucial. Don't death grip the hell out of the bell, right? Think of it kind of like it's a bird egg. If you squeeze too hard, you're gonna have it shatter in your hands. Honestly, when I swing, my fingers only cuff over the handle. I don't even use my thumb. It will not escape your hands unless you go like this. So unless you plan on opening your fingers, which I really don't think you're going to, this is never, ever gonna slip out of your hands, right? So you look, I don't use my thumb. My thumb's not on there at all. Not on. It still holds on. The reason why I most of the time don't what they call the hook grip and I don't use my thumb is so I don't burn my grip out. Because when you grip real tight and you see the stiffness that comes through, like end up shoulder shrugging and everything trying to hold on real tight. Your arm is just along for the ride, right? It's all your hips. Nothing to do with your hands at all. They're just lightly holding onto that handle. So, what I want you to do, because I'll teach you how to swap hands shortly, grip on the opposite side. So if you got your right hand on there, you're on the right hand side of the handle. Normally you would grip on the left. But we're going to go with this for now, because I'm going to show you how to swap hands safely in the air without it falling onto the ground. So, everything is the same as your two-handed technique, except your spare hand now is a counterbalance. So we're here, we set up. As I hike, my spare hand comes behind me. When I swing up, my spare hand comes up to meet the bell. So down and up. It's a counterbalance. Never put your hand on your hip. I never understood that, because if I'm pushing on my hip and I'm trying to drive my hips forward, what am I doing? I'm blunting my power. Why would I do that? That makes no sense. So it's always a counterbalance. Here, that arm counterbalances. So we set up, hike, tap the handle, tap the handle, tap, tap. When you're done 5, put it down, left hand, tap, tap, tap. So it's here, up, we go tap, tap, and you see I exchange. See where I do the exchange? I'm not up here and then trying to change up in mid-air. I'm subconsciously still using my hands to stop it in mid-air to try and somehow demonstrate it. This is the thing, you see I actually exchange about here. That's why the spare hand comes up with it. Right, so it's about here, because as it travels up, then you hit that weightless point. You've already exchanged. You come down, spare hand does its thing. It'll come along, change about here, and away you go. So same thing here, hike, change. So when you get used to changing like that, then you can actually flip it over and start changing as you properly should. See, I'm letting the bell float, my spare hand comes with it. There's no point at all where that's going to drop. If I wait, see the difference then? I nearly lost it. Trying to show an incorrect way of trying to change it at the wrong point of the swing. You're trying to change at the apex. You change before then. So, 2 taps, then a change. 2 taps, then a change. So that's swing variation I was talking about earlier. You see how obviously people feel much more part of the class doing the real cool movement like that, and where deadlifts just don't match up. If you turn it upside down and hold it by the horns, you can actually drop it into the downswing. It stops here, and you drive up and you hold onto the belt. So you can still leave people doing very much a swing-like movement, but they're controlling just a little bit more with their arms. That's for the ones that get real chaotic at the bottom and don't know how to stop yet. This is a good way to go. So we come here, turn it upside down like this. Here. See, my forearms meet my inner thighs and it stops me going too far forward. So that teaches you how to have that 45-degree stop at the bottom. You got this bell screaming at your face, you know, to stop tall at the top. If you go overextend with your hips, guess what's happening? It's coming at your face, isn't it? And then you can just drop it back into the downswing. Here's how people can regress it, but still feel part of the class and not so far behind. Because here, it's still very much a high-powered move, as it's just one step down, as opposed to, because you can't deadlift fast. You can't, you will hurt your back. You cannot do deadlifts fast. Just can't. You can have fast drive going, but you've also got deliberateness in all the way through that. Yeah? So that's a way of regressing down your swings. Turn upside down, hold it by the horns. Drop it in. It does not allow you to go any further. And then bang, you control at the top. It teaches you how to control those two endpoints. We're going to swing and add steps. So all exactly the same. So now when you swing and you drive the bell up, 2 short steps before it reaches the top of the swing, let it come down, swing, 2 short steps. Let it come back down again. So it'll look a little along these lines. Short steps are key. So what we're not going to do is go take big long ones. It's comes down, swing to come backwards. So it's 2 swings, right? 1 swing to go forward, 1 swing to go back. So we set up, hike, just short forward, short back. If you're worried about trying to do the 2, just go swing to go forward, let it come down, put the bell down, reset, swing, 2 to go back, let the bell come down, then put it back down. So start, stop it, so you can go. Why is this important? Right, so what we're doing is we're changing our base of support, our stability here. As you notice, if you just stand there, lift one leg up with your hands on your hips, can you feel one side contract and one side not contract? Or one side contract more than the other? Yeah, so now what you're doing is changing this element of stabilization, so you're getting more work stabilizing and strength and power as you're going through. So you're working on like dynamic power, as well as how to produce and reduce your force to stabilize against that. There is a lot of things going on. But what we're also doing is learning how to improve our ground force reactions, which is how we push out of the floor, and proprioception, big word of the day. This is now when I put my foot down, it sends a signal all the way up to my brain and my brain back down to my foot, telling me that I need to stabilize, to activate through my ankle and my feet to stabilize as I do it. So this works a lot of things. It looks funny on the outside and a lot of purists don't like this sort of thing. But when you start breaking it down, the components of fitness and human movement and health and fitness that you get out of this is numerous. So we can do less to get more. Our running theme, yeah? So it's an intelligent less for more. So what we can do as well is go off to the side. This one's a little bit easier to do. Make sure there is space between the lot of you. Everything is the same. We hike our bell. As soon as we drive up, we bring our leg in. So our feet come together when we're at the top. When the bell's coming down, short step out to the side. So all I want you to think of is when you swing, just go up and in, down and out. You can travel one way. Or even if you're tight on space, and this is even harder, stop and re-go to the other side. That's really teaching you to stop, so reduce the force and then reproduce it to go back. So as you swing, simultaneous, up and in, down and out. So where I operate a bit differently again to some other places, so with this change of base of support, we can do this with a height adjustment. So you know how people plate squat with plates under their heels to improve their squat? Same principle. If you have a leg length discrepancy, this can help adjust that. This can make it easier for people to swing. You don't go stupid on your height. I'll put that back because there's an amazing race thing there. Now, one leg up and one leg down. It's enough to adjust, right? We don't need to look at anything ridiculous. So what this does is it allows a much greater range of motion on the side that is up without pushing into an immobile zone, running the risk of injury. Okay, so it's like your plate squats. I've copped a lot of flack for this for the years, but I still stand by the method, it works. Okay, so if someone's having trouble with their swings because there is one side that is just not operating, you can put just a little raise underneath one foot. In this instance of doing your side swings, right, start with your foot in the center, we can come up and over, and now this adds an extra level of resistance because we've got to come up and back down. We improve our coordination. Same thing as I said before, ground force reactions, proprioception, dynamic stability, all these things. So, our setup is the same. Here, this now allows me to improve my swing if someone's really struggling, or now use it as an extra form of resistance, even then if they are struggling with that sideways stepping swing, it's an external messaging point. So I have to come together on the top and then off to the side. Together on the top and off the side. You can do it with the forward swings. You have two side by side. You go up and up, down and down. That works. Try it with small plate, just going up and over. See if you can feel the difference in the swing. Now, we've done our sagittal plane swings, our frontal plane swings, transverse. Now we're going to add a 90-degree rotation. Every time you've been swinging with your arms straight. This is the one time now that you'll actually pull the bell along with you. Right, so you actually got to use your obliques to pull it along. Because if you swing and let it go here and you turn, the bell only stays where it's instructed to go. Yep. So, I swing, I come up, and I keep it in close. So you don't actually want to let it swing out straight. Think like in boxing, right? When you throw it straight, you pivot and you throw through that foot and your obliques up into your shoulder, right? Instead of like that, it's rotating all the way through. Yes, I have poor boxing technique for those watching on home, but the principle is there, is it's utilizing that whole system instead of rigid, not the old rock'em sock'em robot toys. So, we're here, hike, see I'm pulling it along, it's called a hip toss. So it's going to teach you how to use your obliques to swing it along. So the bell's going to start off the side. You know how we did at the start of the day? When we pivot and turn? That's key. If you can do that, you can do this. So it starts here on your hip, you hinge, you get your hip, drive up and over like this. So we start here. See, that's not my arms. See, it's my hips. See the power from my hip. I hinge at the hips as it comes to my opposing side to brace that force coming down. And then bang, drive. Just don't swing. Big and straight. Yep, keep him in tight. Really feel it through that midsection. So we got the hip toss, compass swing. So like I was saying before, we swing, we drive, and we turn. So as you swing it up, you turn, but it's quick with your feet. So you come up, you have your feet planted before the bell hits the top of the swing. Let it swing down, swing up, quick turn, and back down. See, I'm always planted before the bell hits the top of the swing. What I'm not, it's big, long, straight arms. Keep it in close, think T-Rex. Figure 8 swing. So this is going to be a bit different. It's going to pass through your legs. You grab at the back, and you're going to swing up to the front, and then pass through the legs again. So I'm going to use a light bell, just so I can show you the path on it. How we do at the start of the day, you grab one part of your handle. You're always going to think with this, that blank part of your handle here, the empty part of your handle always goes out to your backside. So if you think thumb to bum, you pretty well never forget. So as you come down in your swing, my thumb meets my other thumb. So I grab hold of the bell at the back. It's always 2 hands on the pass. Don't try and throw it and catch it because you'll launch it out the back. And it happens every single time someone tries to be a smart aleck and do it, they all launch it. Respect the gym here. You don't want to damage the floors. So when you grab it at the back, comes around, you come up to finish your swing, turn your hand in, thumb to thumb, up. So you start going real time. So it's always turning that thumb in. So thumb in, thumb in, thumb in, thumb in. All right, you may want to try these classics if you want to for this, if you feel a bit more comfortable with it, because we're going to swing the bell on the outside of our body. This is what we call a pendulum swing. It's a very advanced variation, and you're going to feel a real tight contraction on the opposite side of your body to try and balance from falling over. Technique thing here is your feet are directly under your hips. Save your knees, keep your thumb pointed forward the whole time. So as you hinge, you're like this, okay? Because it's gonna sound silly, but bear with me here on this explanation. If we have our thumb forward, we make the bell smaller. If we turn it sideways, the bell is wider. They're like, but what do you mean? The bell is round. It's still the same size no matter what. You look at where the handle position is. If it's coming along like that and down, here, I already clipped the side of my leg. But if I turn like that, then the handle is what ends up not getting near my legs. So, What you need to be able to learn to do with this is when you hinge, if it's in the right arm, the left shoulder points to the right foot just a little bit. You're not twisting like this, okay? It's just that little bit off-centered, because this will stop. And trust me, I've been there, I've done it. It hurts. You'll only do it once or twice before you never do it again. So you start exactly the same way. We're in that hike position in front of us. Again, feet directly under our hips. So if you see the few examples first, so we're here, hike, drive. All your form is exactly the same. But see how my left shoulder points to my right foot? Right? Yeah. So a narrow stance is what wins this one. You're going to use two.
Okay.
It actually balances people out. Right? Everything's the same. Feet under hips. They're both in front. I'm nice and set. Hike. Now it's like you're skiing. Place them down. Don't be afraid to drive with the hips, right? If you keep your thumbs pointed forward now with the two and your feet directly under your hips, you'll be completely fine. So again, we can stick with the two little ones here. We're going to have one between the legs, one on the outside of the legs. It's essentially like swinging on one leg. Is what it's going to work like. It's going to be very, very focused on the one side. And you'll find it's good in that sense that you get this awesome swing variation without having to be really unbalanced. So here, between the leg, outside the leg. All my weight's on my right leg. My left one's balance. It's essentially like a kickstand on a motorbike. When you get good at it, you can change where you're going. For now, just try going one between the legs, one on the outside of the leg. Use the smaller ones, thumbs pointed forward. Cleans. Kettlebell cleans. These are completely different to doing it with a dumbbell and barbell, but very similar at the same token, if that makes any sense at all. Probably doesn't, because my English sucks. I'm going to work you through from, say, regression up. So, if you find people struggle with kettlebell cleans, which I usually do because it usually thuds into the forearm and they don't like doing them, we can work a couple of different ways. I've got a full 12-week kettlebell program, like it's full follow-along video, so you'll get access to this. And my people that I'm coaching with it, they're like, kettlebell cleans suck, they hurt my forearms. Have you got a different way around it? One way we can start out, so all I've said to them is, say if you've got 10 on each arm, you're just going to do this version for 20. So a way to start from a dead position, so we're going from a hip hinge. So it's going to come up. As I come up in this, I'm going to use a lot of hip drive to get it. I'll then switch my hands to the horns. So this is just a very simple spot here. Like this is just for them to get used to this point, right? So for some of the beginners that are in the program, this works well, is going and catching, because then if they want to go into clean and press, if that's in the routine, they can still do it. So if it's on one arm, they just have to double up. So it's still allowed everyone to get in and do what I wanted. So first up, as a starting point, grab hold of your bell from the handle to horns. It's just a dead spot, hip hinge, drive up hard and catch. So that one's a real simple, easy way to go. I kind of go with that because it leads into this other thought process here of doing a two-handed version of a one-handed clean. Yeah, I know, everyone just goes, what the hell are you talking about? Right. So your one-handed cleans, right, if you're coming up from a dead position, it comes up and it wraps around your wrist. So how we can do this as a two-handed version, so this is leaning towards, and I'll turn around and face this way in a minute. how this leans toward getting people into one hand. I'll actually use pro grade for it because it's better with a bigger handle. Right, so my right hand's down the bottom, that's the shoulder it's going to go to. I'm going to use my left hand at the top. It's going to sort of help assist as it goes through. Because see, a lot of people go the clean thuds against my forearm and my bicep. We'll fix this soon, so don't worry. So I come up, and what this helps me to learn, or much better if I have my right hand at the top, the left hand at the bottom now is just assisting. What this helps me to learn is to keep my right hand loose. Because the biggest thing in a clean is, and the same with snatches, people strangle the crap out of the bell. Don't do it. You're not trying to kill it. You just got to be nice and loose. So here, the left hand is just assistance, so you learn how to keep it nice and tight and wrapping it around the wrist. So here's a good way, again out of regression, to go to it. So then if I had to do 10 on the other arm, left hand at the top. My rack position's a little bit funny on these because I'm trying not to hit the microphone. Otherwise, again, you still end up with the hand under your chin. So, left hand at the top, you're going to the left shoulder. Right hand at the top goes to the right shoulder. Your bottom hand is just assisting the bell there. So the whole idea with a clean is you're actually inserting your hand into the kettlebell, if that makes sense. You're not coming along and going and flipping it over. You got to think like twisting a jar. So it rolls around the wrist. Always end up at the top with an open hand. See how it runs down like we were saying earlier? Josh asked earlier about where the handle position's supposed to be. You've only got that minor part. Yeah, you're inserting your hand into it. You've only got that minor part of your thumb there. So if you end up like this where it's horizontal, like that, you're not finished, like you're not inserting your hand through, so you've got to bring your hand into it. There's no sound. It's silent. That's what you're looking for. Because then when you come into swinging it, same thing, you shouldn't hear a thing. It should be silent when it comes up and it just rolls over instead of going like that. So from that dead position here, drive quick, really commit to it, because this is the thing you're going to need to know for snatches, is it's a fast, ballistic movement. The slower you go, the worse this gets. This is where you got to own it and go as hard and as fast into bringing it up and twisting it as you can. If you end up with big thunk and clunk, he fixes that really quick. You're just about that far away from the actual end of your swing. The worst thing you're going to do is hit a softbox. So don't be afraid with this. So loose grip and just move it quickly. That's the key out of all this. Here, it's quick. The faster you do it and commit to it, the better. One last little cue I'll leave you with trying to get that hand insertion. And it's one I sort of thought of because it looked similar. Now the old Roman armies used to salute their generals like that. It's the same sort of thing you want to think of. You want to, when you're coming up, is salute the general. So you're aiming for this opposite shoulder, because what will actually happen is the flight path of the bell will bring you to the center. If you aim for the center, the flight path of the bell will bring you onto the outside of the shoulder. So you overcompensate. You come here, aim for there, you end up here. 99 out of 100 times I guarantee that will work and get you to where you need it to be. It's a swing, it's a high pull, and it's a punch. I'm really grateful you brought the 6 kilo along, because it's going to be a really good coaching cue. I'm going to teach you a cool little cue that I had for initiating your punch. Because the biggest thing that people don't do in a snatch is actually punch their hand to the bell. They try to make the bell meet the hand. So what I mean is they go like this. Here, big straight arm swing. You can see the bells meet in my hand, whereas if you watch this here, see the difference in the fact that the forearm meets up to the bell first, instead of come along, even if I'm quick. The general comment is, oh. So, you need to learn how to punch to your bell. Bottom up, elbow level with the shoulder. What I'm going to do is relax my hand, shoot as fast as I can to the sky, shoot through the bell. See that? I make my forearm meet the bell. This is crucial. For the sake of sounding dirty, if you want a good looking snatch, this is it. You have to punch to the bell.
Put that on a poster.
Try to be professional. So, have to punch fast. But at this point here, so I'm gripping, I'm not when I punch through, and that's the important part too, is you learn how to relax your grip. So here, punch through. But see how at the top though, I'm not gripping either. It's open. This is a big key thing. Don't finish gripping the bell tight. Stay relaxed. Because it doesn't matter then what weight you get. See, I punch through to the bell. You see where it's landed? Like that. In that part of the hand. If it lands like that, what you've done is flipped it. That's exactly what you've done. You've not punched to meet the bell. You've allowed it to meet you instead. So, depending on how strong you're feeling, try a lighter bell first, bottom up. The faster and more committed you are to the punch, I guarantee you the smoother and easier it is, with the exception of the fact that those small bells do hit that knob on your wrist. The smoother and easier your snatch will end up becoming. Don't get up to the top, punch through, and then get slack. See how I went slack? When you get to the top, here, lats, triceps. Bicep is by my ear and no further back. Yep, so there's two ways that we can go from here. So if you're not comfortable with returning it the way people will call as a long cycle snatch, come down to your rack position and then return it like you do your cleans, right? So you can go like, that's what they call short cycle. Great way for people to practice. Or when you're coming, it's the same way as the clean. So with the clean, I leant back to initiate the drop. It's the same thing with the snatch. I lean back a little bit and I unhook it off the same way it comes up. It unhooks off. We've got that high pull action. All of them. Yeah, that one you can twist. You can twist or you can flip it. I'm just trying to exaggerate a little bit here. It's the exact same action as the way it goes up. It's all completely in reverse. Pretty well the only way it's going to drop straight down is if you just let it go, essentially. Like if you here went like that, I didn't do anything to resist it. By the stage of someone doing a snatch, they'll know that they have to activate themselves on the way down. Like that was really hard to completely switch off and do nothing on the way down because I'm so used to doing it, and I've never found anyone like that either, just dropping it on the way down. It doesn't happen. Double kettlebell swings, 45-degree angle facing in. Everything else is the same except you've got slightly wider stance in your feet. So hook grip on the hands, hike. No real different there, yeah? Outside that we did them earlier. Feet together. Double pendulum swing. All right, cleans, double cleans. You know how I said at the start of the day, you need to have a nice loose grip on it? Yeah, that's gonna be super key here, because if you keep a tight grip, when you smash your knuckles together, it hurts. So what I tell people is make prayer hands. So when you come to the top, you open your hands. Trust me, it's so much better to open your hands at the top. I've hit my knuckles many, many times. and it hurts. You come through, right? It's hard for me getting my rack position well because I don't want to crush my microphone. So that's throwing my sort of pattern off a little bit, but yeah, it's better if I just hold on. When you come up, it's okay to open your hands. If you don't, like that, really freaking hurts when they bang. So open your hands up at the top, that's okay. Again, about 10 sort of max. So swing them through the legs and keep them nice and tight. Don't worry about them clanging. The only thing you need to do, Chloe, is that's it, tighter on the upswing. You even realised it yourself. Good, excellent. That's it. That's it, rack finishes like you just had then. Much better. That's it. That's it, Kate. Now just commit to it. Just as fast as you can. See, you just got to trust yourself for this. The faster you do it, the easier it is. And I mean that. Trust your own body. It'll be fine. You won't hurt yourself. The slower you do it, the more it is going to hurt. I promise that. Yeah, in tight. That's it. Nice. Good. That will smooth out. That's it. Much better. Good job. Yeah. See, because Josh is an overachiever, you can see it there. He like the execution on how quick he gets it up. I'm still recording, I'm still recording, I'm still recording. But from point A to point B, you see the speed in it. He's not worried about moving it around slowly to protect himself. The faster he does it, the smoother it lands. It's like we did at the start. The faster you clean on one hand, the smoother it lands into here. Yeah. When you're slow, it all hurts. And trust me, when you're about to hit double snatches, I tell you now, you have to own this. There can't be an ounce of doubt in your head. Don't walk up to that exercise going, I don't know if I can. Walk in going, I bloody well will. Because it makes the hugest of differences. You have to have that in your head off the bat. I'm gonna own the double snatch. I really want you to think of that for your high pull here before you enter into it, because it's super important. The double high pull, same thing as before. The two handles point to each other in the 45s. We're in, just flare of the elbows. It's not rowing it. And I realised I didn't do it at the start of the day. When we're trying to break down the snatch, we go a swing to a high pull into the snatch. I did all the punch stuff and then I lost my train of thought. So we can still do this with the doubles. When you're sort of getting used to doing a snatch, they go 3 swings, 3 high pulls, and then straight up through. When you become more comfortable with it, you go swing, high pull, snatch. You can do the same here on the doubles. Get good with your double high pulls, no more than 10, all right? Then go 3 swings, 3 high pulls, bang into the snatch. The swing is a little bit more, so to speak, volatile because obviously the movement doesn't really have much anywhere in space to stop. It's just got to keep going. So you start 1 forward and 1 back, and then pulse swing. I'm using my hips. And that little pulse out of my hips to create the swings. So as slow, it then Only one that goes. What's that? Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. This is the hardest one because it's so continuous. The others you can stop and think about what you're doing. There you go.
Easy.
So start with one on the rack, one on the ground. You come up, exchange. This one's a little bit slower to work with. High pulls suck because again, there's nowhere for it to actually stop in the movement, so it's quick fire like the swings. Just sit up tall, that's it. Good. Oh, Chloe, that looks awesome. Keep going with it. Now, the snatch kind of works like the clean is you can stop, which works a little bit nicer when you're practicing this one. So again, commit to your snatch. Don't be afraid to throw it around. One starts up, one starts down, and then commit to it. That's it, and exchange. Good.
Biscuits.
Biscuits. You watch Bluey, do you?
Biscuits and cream.